So today we'll be taking the assignment from where we left it, and we will do everything using Bootstrap and then PHP. So let's start with Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a CSS library from Twitter. So I should come here, Bootstrap. We'll be looking at version 3. It's very old, but we'll take it from there. It still does the work and does it very well. So we're taking it from W3 schools. Remember W3 schools? Anything you want to know, you will know it from there. So you have the time to go through the whole documentation, which we won't be doing much of that here. So what I'm interested in is Bootstrap is a CSS library. So more or less, it's just a bunch of CSS codes written by some experts at Twitter to help us do our web design and do it properly. So in the documentation, if you go to get started, so looking at the menu here, you go to get started, it will show you how to incorporate it into a project and how you work with it. So we're going to go from this perspective here. I think last class we even did something. Let's see. Should we go into our folder structure? Great, Bootstrap. So we have the library already. So should I go to web dev and I go into assets and I go into CSS? I can find Bootstrap. So great, we don't really need to do much of that. But the one thing we might need to do is integrating its JavaScript library, jQuery, which is still available for Bootstrap 3 and 4, but as from Bootstrap 5 they no longer use jQuery, which is a JavaScript library. Then Bootstrap equally has a JavaScript library too. So we'll go ahead and add this to our project. So should I go up, Control B, I see Bootstrap is added. This Bootstrap added to the project. So I'll go at the bottom of the page where we add JavaScript. JavaScript is usually added at the bottom of the page, and here I've just added the JavaScript code for Bootstrap, as you can see, with jQuery. It needs all of that. So I'll refresh our project, and great, here's our project. Remember, we'll reduce the screen size. Great, so here we're on medium. This is medium size screen. Everything we did was cool, but we prefer to use Bootstrap and redo the same things and then see how we could go faster. So to start with, please go through the Bootstrap documentation. I will be skipping so many things. So I'll start with doing a nav bar. I'll go down here onto nav bar. Great, I will need a nav bar. I will need a carousel. What else will I need? Nav bar, carousel. Bootstrap 3 does not have cards, so we're going to maintain our cards. Remember, cards are these beautiful designs here. If you go to Bootstrap 4, for instance, let me see, how do I reach Bootstrap 4 from here? Let me go to home, just to show you what cards are all about. I come to menu, I come to references, I come to CSS library, Bootstrap 4. Yes, on Bootstrap 4, let's look for cards, and you see what are cards. Cards, great. So as you go to cards, you see these are cards. You see a picture and then some text, and it has a unique design. Here you can have different types of cards and all whatnot, but that's for Bootstrap 4. We are using Bootstrap 3, so we created by ourselves. By the way, this is a card that has been created here. So let's integrate Bootstrap 3 and try to redo everything here and see how it feels. So we'll start with our nav bar. Our nav bar, great. You see, we have a wonderful nav bar we just use without so much stress. So we're going to use this one, but I want a nav bar that is responsive. I'll keep going down. If you're reading the documentation, you'll probably find all of that there. It might take a while. Let me see. I go down. I think some JavaScript should be included there. Grids, no. Themes, no. Examples, no. No. Never. Well, I'll definitely stick with this one. What I'm looking for, I will have to test with the screen to actually see if it's responsive or not. But collapsing nav bar, I don't know. Let's use a simple nav bar and move on. So I'm going to use this one. It kind of feels like the one we had, right? So so to actually reproduce this, all I do is I copy this code and I come to the project. Somewhere up here, good, where they have nav, I'll simply comment out all of that, and then I actually use Bootstrap's own nav. Oops. Great. Let's see how that looks. Great. You see there's a nav bar here. So now let's add our image to it. So I copy that image and I add it somewhere here. It refreshes. Great. Then now what do we realize? We realize because it has this nav bar inverse, it actually does things in the opposite way. Let's see. No, nav bar inverse was not involved there. We were having a picture, after that we're having text. Okay, definitely, let's say maybe it's because we do not wrap it into. Let's come here and just do this. Instead of doing this list, we add it here. Great, we've sent it to the corner we wanted, right? We could actually reduce the size again. Who was controlling our logo? The width was what, 100 pixels. Nav MG, let's take it to 50 pixels. Great, it looks smaller, and let's just remove the border altogether. Great. So we have our nav bar there, and oops, let's add some padding to it. Padding, no, margin is better. Margin, and we add let's say 10 pixels and see. Question. Oh, I've added it twice, but definitely I've removed something. What was there before? Oh, there was margin already. So I just I just want it to be more, let's say 25 pixels. Great, because I wanted it to detach a little bit from here. So we have our logo here. We will have this other text on the other side, but we are not going to be having a menu here because it's not a website. Just trying to build something simple. We could actually even centralize it. It all depends on you. Go with the documentation to find something on that. I remove this and I remove this. Here. Great. And when we save, great, we're having our image there. Let's try to have it in the center. I don't know if let me see. Class. If I should come here and do text center. Oh, it does not center it. I think we definitely need nav bar center. Nav bar center. Oh, that still did not work. Let me add it down here and see. Nav bar center. Okay, but there's no need cracking my head around. All I need to do is I go through the documentation and I look for anyone that has it centered. You can actually read the different headings. Okay, I can't find anything, but it's going to be taking us a while just to have it centered, so it's better we move forward. So we have this here, and if you see, it's far better than what we had before. It's much more better. Now the next thing we're trying to do is we try to have a slider. We call that a carousel. This, try to have something like this. So to have a carousel is very easy. All I need to do is I come and copy this code, copy the same code, and I come down here. Good. What I going to need to do is I'll have to come here and say div.fluid. Remember I said you go and read the div.fluid div.row. Go and read documentation, and you know why we're having fluid div.column. I want to make it md12. Great. Any questions? Oh my god, it shows you've not read the documentation. Go and do your homework. There's a PDF file, there is this. All you need to do is you go to grid. You see, it's just a third subtopic. There's a grid system. Last class on top of the MD we're trying to target medium. Here even I might go for lower. So please do your homework and read that. So we've added this and we can see we have a funny I have something very funny there. I don't know if it's working. Great. It might not work too because it needs some JavaScript to work. So the next thing we have to by the way, let me see if our JavaScript is connected. So I do Control U and I come and click here. Great, we have the CSS code. And I come down to I click on jQuery. Great, jQuery code is linked. And I click on Bootstrap. Great, Bootstrap code is linked. Okay, I'm coming back to them in a while. But now I'm wondering why is this not working? So I could actually inspect. So when I come to inspect, I actually come to the console. I try to see errors. I click on errors. It's telling me why it's not going. So it's telling me it can't find the different images. You can see it's red telling me it's an issue. And then when I look here, I try to see that the same images we are having up here. Chicago, New York, L should be what? Los Angeles maybe. But now we have images of our shoes. So let's use our shoes and have them slide. So all I need to do is I come and copy this. No, the shoe is rather this one. So I copy this and I come and have it here. That's for shoe 1. I come here for shoe 2. Luckily we're named to this way. And shoe 3, and I save and see. Great, we're having our shoes come up here. Now I just hope they are able to slide. Great. Oops, the unclick seems not to be working. Yeah, so probably let me see, it's not working. There's something wrong. So looking at the inspecting again, we find that there is no error. But if there's no error, what we need to do is we have to come back here and do try it yourself. We'll click on try it yourself. We want to make sure we have code that's working. So here it works. So all we need to do is we copy the same code again. So that's before body. We copy right up to body. We'll copy all of that again and try to make it work and see. So free, we take you aside and we come again, we do another one. And we save and see. Great, so up here, it's still not working. Are we having the same version of Bootstrap? I don't think so. Let's start by changing these images again. Shoe 1, shoe 2, and shoe 3. Just want to see what is the issue up there, so I cut this out. Yeah, it refreshes, but then I discovered the carousel is not working and I can't seem to figure out what is the issue. Okay, Bootstrap 3, I don't know what could be your issue, but I see the link here is referencing to something else. One thing I'll try to do is, ooh, I did not see the mess that was happening down here. Let me try to solve this and see if it solves the issue in one way. It seems not to solve the issue. There seems to be something wrong going on. Let me see. Ah, this was not copied properly. You see the script is open but it's not closed, and that's why it's affecting even these guys down here. Remember, depending on code editor, let it be blue. It's not blue means there's still an issue. Let me see what could be the issue. Script is not closed. It's not closed. Now it's closed. Oops. Now the script is closed, so the other one should be all blue. Great, they're all blue. So I hope this thing will be working now. Oh great, it's working. So please, HTML is equally as important, though it's not a programming language. Great. But you see, I don't like it containers because up here is container. So I'll remove container and have it fluid. So fluid, it actually takes row width, right? Great. I remove this text carousel example, we don't need it. Oops. Great. So we're having the carousel as such. So after heading, there's some space. Who is creating the space? Let's see. No one anything up here. So after nav liul, now let me go to inspect and see where the space could be coming from. So I should come here and I look carefully. Oh, it's part of head. So after head, it should have a margin bottom. Oh great, it's having a margin bottom that we can remove. When we remove, you see it fills up. So the one way of removing this is found in the Bootstrap code. We'll not go around and start touching Bootstrap, but what we'll do is we'll go to nav bar. This is nav bar, and I could just come here and do an inline style and say border 0. I mean 0 pixels the same as 0 anything. It seems like you guys did not get me. It's not border, it's margin 0. Great. It overrides Bootstrap style, right? It's not the best way to go about it, but it works. So great, we have our nav bar showing us our different shoes. But there's something I thought when we copied it, it's not coming with the text. Oh damn it. It's not coming with the text. What I mean is, look here. This one does not have text, right? But you have some of them that actually has some text. Okay, add captions, add this, blah 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 blah. You could go and look for another one that has text in it. Right, you see this one, right? It has some text in it. So if you copy this one's code with the text, that changes too. Yeah. If you not copy, no big deal. If you're interested in copying, just go ahead and look for one that has the text in it, then you copy and you come and edit the code. This is all HTML, right? The CSS has been done for us. So we're having our project going. Great. We have a carousel. We have our cats. We're not going to change these cats. We're not going to change it for several reasons. Bootstrap TV does not have cats, and we find this one beautiful. Well, I find it beautiful. I hope you find it too. So and we can actually click and go to the article. Great. So now I'm not going to add so much here, but what I invite you to do is go through Bootstrap and try to play around with every other component you find here. Play around with them and see what you can do with them. I have used most of this already, and for this project you must not use all of them in one project. This is one project. All I find interesting in Bootstrap TV is using the carousel, and that is it. If I wanted to use scroll spy and all whatnot, you'll be needing JavaScript. To run all of these ones, you need some JavaScript now. Scroll spy and the rest. You will use list groups, buttons. We will use buttons. Talking of buttons, let's use buttons. How are we going to use buttons given that we really don't need buttons here? But there are some designs where you might want a button to be here, like see more, right? Let's just add a button for adding sake. I'll add it just to one of them. So I'll come here, I'll just say button dot btn. Great, then I come here, good. Let me just say see more, and you see what will happen there. You see a button will come up. It's not looking very beautiful because I've not added stats. I have to say primary. It's a class of color. It shows green. It shows blue. Green is success. So when I do that, the next thing I'll try to do is I'll try to add some margin so that it goes a little bit away from this, right? Okay. There's no need doing much of this, so I'll just come up here. But then remember, we saw links. If we want to move from one page to another, we don't need buttons. Rather, we need links. So ahref equal to it takes them to which page? It takes them to a certain page. Really, we've had our links up here. We don't need to create another link here. So I could just leave it at buttons, and it's still going to work. because actually this button is not working because anywhere is clickable, right? Great. Oops, people started jumping around. Probably because it does not have its own button and this one is going out of place. Maybe that. Let's see. Let's take away this button and see. Oh, great. So one thing could actually alter so much. We're going to use the button shortly. So this is it for Bootstrap with me. You could have all these other classes. I've just shown you how to add one thing. You could go ahead and add as much as you want and every other thing. Feel free. So this is just what I've added. I've added a nav bar and a carousel. I did not do anything. I copied the code, pasted it here, modified one or two things, and I'm okay. I know how to link images. That I did. I know how to do inline styles with CSS, so I could fix one or two things here. I could still take this style and take it out. See, for instance, I'll move it from here. I'll move it from here, and I'll move it from here, and I save. You will see the gap will come back up. The gap has come back. Now I want to reference it to nav, right? So all I need to do is I come right up here. Who is nav? You are nav. I come and give you that style, and boom, it comes back. It's not fitting. Nav. No, nav is unique. But now this is what's happening. Nav is unique. But this was happening. Let me add nav bar. And if it does not work, then I'll explain to you why. Nav bar. Let's see if it does not work. Great. It's not still working for a couple of reasons. Inline styles have priority over internal styles like this. This is an internal style, and this is an external style. So this and this will probably be at the same level, but inline styles are going to have more priority. And remember, styles that are written to the right. So if I line up styles this way, this style has more priority over this style. This style has more priority over this one. Or more or less, this is going to override the one to the left. Are we together? So it's better I just bring it back to where it was, because I don't like the space up here. Great. So it's going to cover up this space. Good. So for the rest of Bootstrap, please consult your documentation. There's a PDF file in the link. If you have more issues, please don't hesitate to ask. Great. So we'll now switch directly to PHP and make this look far more beautiful. Okay, so PHP is a programming language. You can equally find it here. I learned most of my PHP from here. So you find PHP here. Yes, you could go through and read. If you have issues, please notify. Okay, we'll go straight into using PHP. So in PHP is very easy, because all I need to do is I just come here and change this file extension. So I say rename, no longer HTML but PHP, and it's going to work. So when I refresh, good. Given that we are on a server, it's not going to run as such. Sorry, because this server does not support PHP, and PHP should run on WAMP. We learned of WAMP last time, right? So all I need to do is I need to run WAMP, the WAMP server. You should have installed. If you don't have it installed, just go to their website, wamp.com. I don't know if it's wamp.com. Anyhow, let me try to type it here. All you need to do is you go to WAMP. Oops, the internet here, it will come after a while. Oh my god. Good, it's not picking up. You simply go to WAMP here, wampserver.com, and you download it, install it, then you'll be good to go. So if we're going to WAMP, that simply means we're going to carry all of our project too and go to WAMP. So what does this entail? It entails that I'm going to carry the whole project web dev, carry the whole thing, and I go for WAMP. So WAMP is going to be found in drive C, WAMP 64, and then I go to the root folder www. That's where all the projects are found. So I'm going to equally go to a similar folder here called tuto. You create your folders, please. You must not do it the same way. So I'll come here and just paste the whole folder called web dev. But as a rule of thumb on your server, avoid spaces. So I'm going to do a hyphen. So I'm having this new folder here. And what I'll do is I'll carry this new folder into our project, because that's where we're working from. As I leave it there and it's updating, what I'll need to come and now do is I no longer need the live server that I used to run. I'll now come and do localhost. Localhost takes me into WAMP. Oops, it's going to a reference project. Localhost takes us into WAMP. And remember, we're going into tuto. So I copy tuto here because I'm not doing any virtual hosting. And once in tuto, I look for web dev. We just added it here. Great, web dev. And bang, we're having like the same project. But this time around, you see, I can't find the file here. That's what will happen on servers, but it's running from index.php. It's running from this file index.php. That's what's happening here. Let's try to see if that's the case. Remember, now it's a programming language, but now PHP is not very different from HTML. PHP is a programming language, but you can actually write HTML in your PHP. The moment you start writing PHP is when you do this. Let me move away from the carousel, and somewhere here I actually do this. So this is when you edit. This is when your server recognizes you're writing some PHP. So I'll come here and say echo, like last time, prime tech. Oh, hello prime tech. So you must use the word echo to actually write out some code in PHP, and after the statement you must put a semicolon. I forgot, it's not the live server anymore. So I refresh. I should find it here. You can see hello prime tech. This is everything here. Now it's been written in PHP, right? Great. So now what do we do? PHP has so many advantages. In fact, PHP is a template language. It was built to help you run HTML faster and in a programmatic way. That's why they actually built PHP. I've forgotten the guy's name. Great. So now let's see. Let's try to do something interesting with PHP. PHP will prevent us from writing this over and over. It's very tedious writing this 6 times. If you need another one, you come and write one more. No. No one does that anymore. So what we'll try to do here is we'll try to create an array. So we'll come here, we'll say, or we'll call it what? Articles. These are articles, right? And our articles, we're going to create an array. We'll see what this array is all about. So here I'll come and say variable DOM articles. So variable DOM is like a debugger. It helps us to actually know what that variable is all about. So now refresh. Where are we placing this? I forgot. I have to refresh here. Oh my god. Good. It's telling us the array is empty, right? Please, we're going straight here because we have already seen variables, we've seen data types already. That's why we're going straight here. But if you have issues with that, please notify. We'll leave you a link where you can go and see more on data types in PHP, declaring variables and using them, and then you'll be able to catch up from there. Or maybe you might do a video on that too, but let's just try to catch up with today's program. So when I come to these articles, I want to have many articles. So we use arrays to store data. It's like a bus that can carry many people. So this is like one person that's being carried. So here, remember, for each of our articles, we need what? An image, a name, and a cost, right? So we'll come here, we'll say img, which stands for the name of the image, and we'll point to the value. What's going to be the value of our image? Of our shoe? It's this. No, we get just the name. So I come up here and I put the name of the shoe. I do the same thing for the name. We call it shoe 1. It's really easy. I just do this. Shoe 1, and then we put the cost. Let's say, or the cost could be what, 2,500, right? That's it for the first shoe. When we refresh, we'll have that information here. It's no longer going to empty. See, so 0 at the index 0, it shows that there's another array there holding this information. Nice. So now let's just have 3 shoes and move on. So here we're having another shoe, so we call this shoe 2, right? Shoe 2, we give it the name shoe 2, and what's its price there? 10,500. And then we have shoe 3, and then its name is shoe 3. We try to have it 7,500. 7, oh, let's even leave 8, no big deal. So when we refresh, we have this 1, 2, 3 shoes, right? Great. Now let's see what PHP is able to make us do. PHP permits us not to do this repetition anymore. So what I'll simply come and do here is I'll take all the shoes, all the other shoes, and just destroy. So now come and refresh here. I have just one shoe. Oops, I forgot how to refresh. I have just one shoe here. But now PHP will permit me loop and create many of these shoes. So what do I come here and do? I will say, okay, where do I start looping? I loop here because this is a block, right? It's like one card. So I'll come here and say, it's actually English. I'll come and say for each article as article, right? And I'll come down here and I'll close the for each. And for each. So if I save this, there are how many articles? 3. So the moment I refresh this, they are going to show us 3 of the same type of thing, right? But now, how do I go about inserting this information such as shoe 1, shoe 2, shoe 3? I need to have access to this data, the data of the various shoes, right? So how do I do that? Remember, variable DOM tells us already how our data is organized. So the first time it passed was index 0, it was this shoe. Here's for the first shoe, here's for the second shoe, and here's for the third shoe, right? Now if I want to have access to the image, this image here of the first shoe, it means I have to get into this array and pick out img. So let's have a clue on that. If I should come here and do a variable DOM of article, let's just see what's happening. Variable DOM of article, right? This is what we're trying to get them now individually. Let's see what happens. Great. The first one, this is what it's all about. Here's the second one, here's the third one. It's formatted because Bootstrap is not affecting it. Remember, it's now after the row. The row, Bootstrap starts applying the grid system. So if I need the image of the first shoe, all I need to do is I come here and do this PHP. I'm inserting the PHP inline into the HTML. So I'll do here echo article, and then it's an array. This is how you get values of an array, img. When I do this and I refresh, you can see the shoes have changed. This shoe 2, this shoe 3, right? I copy the same code. I say, I want to change their names. I can see here I have a name parameter, or more or less in this array I have a name index. So sorry, a name key. Here's a key, here's a value. So I come here and I do this for name, and I'll come and do this here for, is it cost? Yeah, we call it cost. And we have shoe 1, shoe 2, shoe 3, all of them with their different characteristics. Now this is no longer HTML, but now all of this is coming from our PHP arrays. So here I'm going to comment this out and comment this out. When I refresh, I get my 3 shoes, all different. Let's try to get the 4th shoe. To get the 4th shoe, I don't write any HTML anymore. All I need to come and do is I come and duplicate you, and come here. This is shoe 4, and I give it a price, say 13.5. And when I refresh, boom, I'm getting a 4th shoe, right? And so on and so on. That's the power of PHP. That's what PHP permits you to do. But this is just the tip of the iceberg, because now let's see. Remember, when we click on this, we get this shoe. Great. But no, this is not just what we need. We need, if I click here, I should get that shoe, not this shoe, right? I should get shoe 2, right? So how do we achieve this? By the way, when I come here, I can see the details about the shoe. So let me copy all of this, and for each array element, we give it a third key value pair called details. Details, and you see for oops, my keyboard is switching. And when I give it details, I'll come here and just paste all of that code here, but just to make it look different, I'll say shoe 1, like for shoe 1 details, shoe 2 details. So I'll do this, I'll run and come and leave it down here and call it like details for shoe 2, and come and leave here like details for shoe 3, and come and leave it here like details for shoe 4. Great. So what's happening when I click here? I come here. Remember too, this is not the same like this. So in PHP we have a statement we call include. So we could consider this like our database. So what does this mean? It means I can remove this code completely and paste it here. I'll just call it let me just call it what? Shoes.php. So I'll call it shoes.php, and then let me call it articles, given that we've been calling them articles. You can call it anything, articles.php. As I call it articles.php, what do? If I save and I come here and save, we get no shoes and we'll get errors. We'll get errors down here because we're calling something that we can't find. It can't find. For each, there will be errors there. Great. Having these errors because for each is calling articles, whereas articles have not been defined. So what do I do in such a case? All I need to do is I just come here and I say include. Remember paths, right? With paths we said we search in this root folder first. I just call it articles.php, and when I refresh, it comes back. So I'm calling all this code and inserting it here at runtime. Are we together? This is because we want to use this over many pages. I wonder when I click here, I see that shoe here, not this other shoe. I see shoe 2, right? Good. So as I've included it here, we realize that even this navbar is not the same. So we carry the navbar out. And we come here and do this. Include navbar.php. Usually people do this .inc, so they understand it's an included file. It does not matter. Remember, for an extension, you look at the last 3 characters. You don't look at other characters that come after a period. So I'll come here and I'll create a file here called navbar.inc.php. And then if I paste nothing inside, see, our navbar equally disappears. Our navbar disappears because it has not been called here. It has been called, but there's nothing inside. When I paste the code, it comes back. Right? So now I did this because I want to go to article details and equally scope off even the styles. I'll combine the styles, and now let's go stepwise. So I'll rapidly come back. I'll rapidly come back to not articles, to index, copy it, navbar. Take this one out too. I'll copy its navbar and the article details here, and I come here this navbar as substitute. Remember this is an HTML file, that's why I'm not getting any color. I could save, then I come here, I rename to PHP. Great. So if I go now to that other page, the navbar will be similar. Oops, wait. Navbar, we've called navbar here. Refresh, please. I can't find something. Article details. You're still going to HTML. That's the issue. You will just put PHP here. Boom. Wait, there is. The issue is because it's been styled by this. So what do? We take away styles too, and we actually include styles here too. styles, because we want to work with just one style, one file for styling. So I come back to index and I decide to put all the styles. I decide to remove it all here, and I come here and do styles. And as I do this, I come here and equally do styles.link.php and I paste it there. So now if you refresh, great, it floats that other style. But usually all of these, let's not do messy work. We usually have to include all of this in a folder called, call it anything. I usually call it temp, meaning temporal files, and I carry all our included files, URLs, articles, yeah, I take all of you and leave there, yeah, move, great. As I do that, what do? If you refresh, danger, errors all over. Let's go back again. We should be having errors here. Yeah, it's normal. That's because we have to go back to our index file and do the path correctly. So we'll do a temp. Remember, we'll do this. And it should bring those two properly. Great. Articles here, we haven't done one for articles. We come and do the same thing here. Great. And it should work. Good. Here we have added all the files in this temporal folder. Remember, your work has to be quite clean. Good. So we wanted to click on an image here, let it bring something else. Besides, the image should not be going to .html anymore. So we rapidly come here and say, where's the link? Here's a link. Control B. Here is a link, and we say .php. So now it should work properly. If I click on this shoe, it will take me to the page for, oops, we haven't done the same thing here for the paths. Great. The paths work properly, but the images are not being referenced properly. So now let's go back to our articles. Our articles, oh, it's running here. There is nothing that identifies these articles. We're supposed to have an ID. An ID here, say 1. That should be unique to each and every one of them, right? So the moment I do this, I come here, you're 2. I take you down, you are 3. You are 4. We are just 4. Good. So the ID permits me to know that this shoe is 1, this shoe is 2, this shoe is 3, which is good. So let's see what we'll do. So we'll come back to our index. Whenever we're looping through, we will come and send it to this file, articles.php. I hope we're okay with that. Now we want to add extra information up here in the URL. So we'll say, let your ID be equal to, we go back to PHP and we equal out article ID. So what is it going to do? See, when we come here, we just get the link article details, right? It's not actually telling us which shoe we are on. So when I refresh and I come to this shoe again, now it tells me this shoe 1, ID 2, ID 3, right? Good. Based on that information, should I click on this shoe? And when we land here, it's telling us that we are on shoe 2. So we should look for a way to get this value and call shoe 2, right? So how do we do that? I go to articles. So the first thing I do in this PHP code is I want to know which shoe we are talking about. So I will do get. Remember in forms we talked about post and get. You should have read a little bit about post and get. So if I come to get and I try to see, I will say get equal, no, sorry, I will say ID. I could call this any variable, but I just want to see what it's all about. So variable dump of ID. What is that? When I refresh and I refresh this, it tells me this is shoe 2. If I come here and change to 3, it tells me this shoe 3. Here we're trying to play with the URL to get whichever shoe I've clicked on the previous page. So this, we use the keyword get. We could use post, but post is mostly used for forms and when you're sending information that is sensitive, you don't want people to see it. But whenever I use get, anyone can see the information up here. Remember, we showed this when we're looking at forms. So links permit us to actually send information between pages. So what we're going to now do is, but remember, the moment we don't have this, see, we're going to have an error. If we just do this, we have an error telling us that it does not recognize this ID, this get ID, because there's not been defined in its parameters up here. So ID here equals to 2. So now the thing we'll do is, let's go through, we will loop again through these articles. Remember articles, we'll loop through articles, and when we find someone who has the ID 2, we're going to show this information, right? So we come to this block of code. Here's a block of code. For each, we're looping through again. Articles, remember articles are referenced here. Where? Oops, we've not referenced it, but no big deal, let's reference it. Anyhow, let's first try and see if it does not go for each articles as article. We come down here and go out of the loop. If you don't go out of the loop, it will crash your browser, because it's going to loop over boop. Especially you find that with for each loops. So great, we're going to loop through this way, and we'll say if article, if your ID is equal to ID. Remember to find this ID up here. Don't just use things on the fly. I could even stop it like this and come down here and say and if. There are many ways of doing if and else. Anyhow, let me do it the other way everyone knows. With this, right? I guess this one you know. In PHP you can use this. We actually say for each and for each. If, yeah, all of that. So if it's equal to 2, show me, oh no, we're to do this right up, we're to do this up here because we need the image too. If it's this, I want to see the image. Let's start with that and see if it works. Great, it's telling us an issue because we do not reference articles. So we come back up here and say include articles. But remember, articles was kept in temp. Yeah, articles.inc.php. Did it have ink? I don't know. No, it did not have ink. So I just go and move it. You can actually add it, all depends on you. So I'll come and refresh now. Great, it's showing us show 2. If we come here, if we come here, I want to go out completely. If we came here and clicked on show 3, you see show 3 is pink. This one is good, it shows us show 3. We come here show 4, it shows us show 4, right? But now we still see all of this information has not been updated. So in the same light, we do the same thing. I'll come down here in details. I'll put here, this was the name. This was the cost. This is the details. I guess that's how we called it. Great. So when I refresh, if this was shoe 4, it should tell me a shoe 4. Great. If I go to another shoe 3, it comes shoe 3 and every other information about it, right? Great. Oh, we made a mistake when we remove the style from here. we forgot to actually copy the one that made this look a little bit more beautiful. Anyhow, we can still just redo something rapidly. So I want to style what I want to style details. Okay, I'm gonna style details very fast. Who was handling our styles again? You. Oops. So I'll come here and do details. I could say font size. I want to increase it globally, so I just say 1.2 em, and I come and refresh it to see what it gives me. It's a little bit big, but not as big. Let's take it to 1.7. That should be quite big. Great. I think that's just enough. Let me remove this up here. So I was debugging the code up there, so I had that. So I just come here and moved it. Okay, great. So when I come back, I have this. So I have a fully. Let's put this link too. Remember the nav bar. We just come to nav bar. Now what we're trying to build here is some sort of an MVC model. In fact, let me make it look more MVC. MVC simply means model view controller. Model view controller. It's a programming architecture you should be versed with, because that's what most projects are built out of. Here's a link, right? Okay, I come here and all I do is I do A, and here I do index.php, and I come here and I do this. So but when I do this, there's some kind of an issue. Anyhow, when I click here, it's going to work. It takes us to the index page, and we're seeing all of this. Should I click on it here? It still leaves us on the same page, but this is not really MVC. For it to really be MVC, this is what we're going to do on the index page, index.php. We don't need to have HTML here. All we need, so I'll do Control A, Control Copy, Control X, and I'll create a new page called home.php, and that's why I'm going to dump the code. Yeah, it should still work because I'm the same root folder. When I refresh this, I see nothing. Oops, I'm on index.php. I have not saved it. When I save it, it's nothing here. I see nothing. Great. Here, with an MVC pattern, we have to understand that we have some sort of a backbone. So index.php is some sort of a backbone. Whenever it receives a request, it sends it to a particular page based on that request. So let's see what this means. It means that whenever I launch this page, it's going to open the file called, oh sorry, we've not started with PHP. That's why everything looks so bizarre. PHP. We must not close it down. So I'll just come here. Whenever I launch a page, it should open home.php. And refresh, we get our home back, and everything's okay, very okay. But now what's happening here is we're trying to make this very clean. So when this person is clicking on this link now, we'll call this link, where was homepage? We'll no longer call this link take him to articles or blah blah blah. No. That's not what we're aiming at now. We'll be aiming at, we'll probably say, yeah, we can do this and say articles. Yes. So when I come and refresh here, when I take my mouse here, it tells me it's taking us to articles. If you can see, articles taking us to articles 4, articles this, articles this, and you see it's leaving us in a root folder. In this root folder, it means it's coming back to index. So what do I see here? I'll come to index and say if something has been set, if it's set, if what has been set, get get articles. If get articles has been set, then if get articles has been set, am I missing something? Let me see. Let me include this first. Include this page. There's something I'm missing out. If get articles has been set, great. If we set, look, when I come here we see articles, but we don't only see articles, but we see, we don't only see articles, but we see we don't only see articles, but we equally see the ID. If you look here, you see the ID and articles, right? So I'm not doing it the proper way, so I have to come back here and I want to get articles, and so I use the ampersand, and the ID equals to that. So when I get the articles, I should be able to come and get ID equal to new ID. Yeah, so when I come back to this page, I don't need to write this again because I've gotten the ID from here and I've just sent it into this file. But now see, there's a small issue. Should we try it? Let's try it. We click on this show. Good. It has taken us to this show, but it has loaded this page again. That's why we have to use return. If you say return, it's the same as saying return false. So don't show. When you finish showing this line, stop. That's what it's saying. So if I refresh, it's gone. So after you have loaded this code, stop. That's what the return is for, right? Great. So when I click here, I go back. So here we have a fully functional e-commerce starter page that works, out of the box. That's what you want to do. So for our next class, we'll look at databases, create a form to send information into the database so that when a user comes here, he sees something new. So you don't have to come and create an array to actually stock data in it, but you actually feed it in from a form. Are we together? Great. So thank you for being here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate.